very famous comedian said to me, so how long have you been doing this? Like 3 to 5 years? And I was like 3 to 5 months.
2 years ago, she had 4,000 followers. Last month, she hit 1 million followers.
So I really only care about God's judgment and my dogs.
Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, I think Nick just needs a Jewish hottie.
Why do you think there are so many Jewish liberal voters? Why stand-up?
No one's actually asked me why I started doing stand-up.
Everybody, Arynne Wexler. Hi, Shafellas. Today I have a really funny, really special guest, and you've probably seen my guest on your feed without really knowing who she is. She's the one saying the things you're too scared to say, like, or type. Before this, she had a Wharton degree and a job at trading currencies at Goldman Sachs. She quit to tell jokes on the internet. 2 years ago, she had 4,000 followers. Last month, she hit 1 million followers. Now she's touring the country, doing stand-up across America, and of course, she's a proud Jewish woman. Everybody, Arynne Wexler.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so happy you're here. I've been nudging Zoli for forever. I'm like, I need Arynne on. I need Arynne on.
Your audience should know that Zoli was, when I think of the village of people that helped me get to 1 million, I messaged your husband, actually. I messaged him when I got to 1 million saying, thank you for encouraging me and making sure I did this, because it took a lot of people. He edited my early videos, helped me learn all the tech behind it, like answers my questions when I'm like, quick, like my microphone isn't working, how do I fix it? Like, you have a wonderful husband. So thanks to you both.
Thank you. I'm shipping a lot of nachas. So it's funny because Zoli met you back in 2023, I believe. Was it that 3 years ago?
Around that time, yeah, when I moved. I think I met both of you at Chabad here in Miami around 2022, around that time, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Zoli telling me, Arynne's gonna be huge. It's not like a question. It's just a matter of like doing the content right and like getting it out, reaching the right people. And was that ever a question in your mind of like how big you're going to actually get?
It was a question if I would get big, but once I was successful, I felt like I'm exactly where I should be. So it's like, two different parts of how I look at it. But no, I do remember, and Zoli would never let me pay him for anything. He would always help me, and he would say, just give tzedakah instead of paying me. I'm happy to help, and he just kept saying, you're gonna be huge. But I spent probably like 10 years before I started posting, everyone in my life, whether it was strangers at a Shabbat dinner, someone I was on a date with, a good friend, every person would say to me, why do you not have a podcast? And I would always say, we don't need more podcasts in this country. No offense, by the way, except for this one. But generally, I think it should be harder to get podcast equipment than a gun in this country, because there are too many podcasts. But thank God for this one.
I think what I did with this one was trying to bridge the gap in like the Jewish religious, non-religious world.
We don't have podcasts like this. What we don't need is like just more people talking randomly on a sofa about like nothing, right? With no aim. But everyone would say that to me for a long time, and I thought, just podcasts, I don't get it. But then I decided to listen one day, and I started posting at the behest of actually liberal friends of mine from college. And they told me, why don't you
backfired?
Yeah. They did message in the beginning saying we've created a monster. Like, I don't know what we just did. But yeah, and they're the ones who told me just start posting, try it out on TikTok. Some people might remember me from my non-lib take days. That was like my original handle on TikTok. Okay. Then I was very quickly put in TikTok prison. And I left TikTok to start on Instagram. But yeah, like thank God it was every person in my life except for me realized that I should be doing this.
Did your liberal friends know your political views, even though they encouraged you to? They wanted you to put out what you were saying. Was that like intentionally so you can actually get big, or maybe to shut you down?
No, it was super encouraging. Except for like, Marxist, leftist, like crazy people. Mm-hmm. I think most of America falls, like if this is normal, we all fall within like that one standard deviation of normal on either side, either on the left or the right a little bit. And so my friends, we all fall in like that range.
Okay.
And I've always filtered for that. I've always been a very outspoken right-winger, a very proud Jew. So there have never been surprises for people. It's never been that they've discovered and they're shocked, like I'm voting for Donald Trump. You know,
Right.
I've lost maybe a couple friends of mine over the course of my entire life for being right wing. But it's never been like, there's some people who had like a major culling of friends, especially in 2020 or 2024. And I did not have that because I've always been who I am.
So you've always been authentic.
Yeah. Yeah.
In January 2024, you had 4,000 followers. Were you telling people this would work? Were you embarrassed? Did it take like extra encouragement to just like be really vocal about your political views?
So, okay. The first question is, did I think I would be successful, and like, where was I going from there? I viewed this as like a tech company. I wasn't viewing it as social media. I thought I've already done beta testing on TikTok and it went really well. And I got to around like 30, 35K. And so there was a clear consumer for the product. So I thought if this were tech, everyone would be telling me, quit your job. And now it's time to like go to market, blitz it, just like really expand what you're doing and just have a higher volume of videos at this point, or a higher volume of product. But because it was social media, because it was videos, and people treat that as if it's a joke, and a lot of it is. Plenty of it is not great stuff and not high quality. But like the word influencer and the word Instagram, like it changes the way people think about it. So a lot of people were saying, listen, maybe you should like stay in your job. I had a wonderful job at a wonderful company with amazing people who were super encouraging. And it was kind of like my dream tech job that I finally had found. So I was in this moment of time where I thought, this is the company I've been looking for. But there was a clear need for it. And I thought, this is 2024. And I just can't forgive myself if Kamala Harris wins. I can't. And I'm not saying that I influenced the election. I'd like to think I contributed in some small but meaningful way. But I wanted to show people online that you could be like more of a city girl. Like I wanted to meet people where they are in the culture. So a lot of what I think the conservative movement does not do a great job at is inviting people in and meeting them where they are. And there are arguments for and against that. But you don't have to be like a Nashville, like blonde, cowboy boots, like country bumpkin wanting to be like barefoot on a homestead churning your own butter. Like you could be a city girl who like has the nanny churning the butter, you know, but you also want kids, and you could go to like fabulous restaurants and go on nice vacations and enjoy visiting Europe, you know, and not just like dunk on it, but say like I enjoy going overseas and seeing the world. But I'm also a patriot and I have common sense and I want a strong America and I'm voting for Donald Trump. And I wanted to show that that was possible. So I get a lot of comments on my videos that'll say things like, you know, she looks like a liberal and she talks like a liberal, but the words actually coming out of her mouth are very right wing. And so I thought, I can't forgive myself. Like I'd rather fold t-shirts at Target. That was the thought I had. I'd rather fold t-shirts at Target and know I did something than just sat on my computer doing nothing at a time that is easy to forget. It was very bleak. Things, especially after COVID and all the woke like pressure campaign in the culture, it was not fun end of 2023, early 2024. And it was not evident that Trump would win. It didn't feel like destiny yet.
Right.
Towards the end of, but right before the election, it started to feel like destiny. But there was a long time where it felt like we really had to push to make it happen. Yeah. So I never looked back, and I left tech. And the week after I left my full-time job, which I was very nervous about because I didn't think of myself as an entrepreneur, I grew 20K on Instagram from 2 viral videos and just went from there.
So do you remember the first viral video that you posted?
Of course.
Do you remember exactly which one it was?
Yeah, it was on TikTok. And I actually recorded the video, ironically, on Tisha B'Av when I was fasting. And I was walking in New York, and I just wrote down a bunch of lines that I'd said to people that week, and everyone kept laughing at it. This was like, 2.5, 3 weeks into posting. I started posting like July 2023 on TikTok just to try it out. And I was walking on the Upper West Side, and I just took my phone out, and I thought, let me just say the lines I've been saying to people that they all keep laughing at, because people kept asking me, what's it like being back in New York? What's it like visiting? And I would just give them a very honest answer, and they would always laugh at it. And so I just put that in a video, and it just took off. That was it.
Do you remember how many views you got on that video?
I feel like on TikTok, it was probably around 1 million, which is like a good number. It was not crazy viral. It's just a good number. But it went so beyond that. There were like major people on the left reacting to it. It was being shared everywhere. So I'm sure the views were at, in way more millions or 10 million. I think it had a much broader reach. I'll let you ask your next question though, because I feel like I'll segue into like how it goes. It grows from there.
What's interesting is even if you got 1 million views just on a TikTok or on a reel, there's so many reshares and reposting, and then it lands on Twitter. So it's like your million is probably headed towards like 10 million at that point.
Yeah. And to me, it was a big step change in my life with that video, because everyone knew that I was doing this, because before I was operating under this account without my name, and I still have like legacy issues with having the old handle. I'm pretty sure Zoli's the one who said to me, don't use a handle, use your name. And he was right from the beginning. But I was really scared, and TikTok felt like fake life, right? I'm like, I could just put this on TikTok and like, if you search me, you're never gonna come up with this, even though it's obviously my face. And I got a text from every person I knew saying, is this you? Did you show up on my TikTok? And I thought, wow, I better do this. I better succeed, because now everyone is watching, and that is not a great feeling. And you asked about embarrassment, and that is something that you really have to get over. Just, I knew that what I was doing was what I want. I knew the reasons for it, and I had to tune out the noise, and I've had to do that my whole life. Being right-wing in New York, there have been plenty of times in my life where everyone's telling me what I'm doing is wrong or against the grain, or I'm the odd guy out. And so it was the same thing with this, which is like, people are gonna think it's cringe. A lot of those people are saying it also because they're jealous that you're pursuing something. I think there's something so honorable about public pursuit. And I'm sure we'll get into this later, but now that I'm doing stand-up comedy, I've had a couple of years now. It's been about 2.5 years of extreme public pursuit. And people like that. Like, it's good to show people you could try things out and be cringe, but as long as you're authentic and doing it for the right reasons, it pays off.
I think people find it just to be cringe because even if they have the same beliefs as you, it's like, oh my God, you'd put that out in the world? Well, what about your community? What about friends?
Yeah.
Like, people somehow or for some reason value things that are not as authentic. And so they're like, oh, like if I speak like this, like no one's gonna wanna work with me. And I'm sure like you had to sacrifice something behind the scenes that maybe not everybody sees. So is there anything in particular that you had to give up that nobody sees?
Well, I was making a decision that I would probably never get a normal job ever again. I would never, maybe I could, but it would be a very difficult process.
Right.
And I had no idea if I could make money doing this. I had no idea what would come of it. When that first viral video happened, I thought, okay, anyone could be a one-hit wonder. Like, random accounts go viral all the time. Can I replicate that? Can I do it again? And there are a number of things I would encourage people to think about if they're thinking, it doesn't have to be about posting on social media. It's just doing something that other people are judging. First, I only care about the judgment of one person, and that's God. So if someone's judging me, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I think God is judging you for judging me. And that's up to him to deal with. So I really only care about God's judgment, and my dogs, kind of, because I love them. But also, I don't care about the opinions of people who think that men can become women. I do not care what you think. And the third thing is, I think a lot of people who judge are unhappy people, and they're insecure.
Absolutely.
And they hate their own lives. Because if you're happy, you're not passing judgments on other people. Maybe a little bit, but like, when someone's doing their thing and they're staying in their lane and they're not bothering you, why would you care what they're doing? So I took a lot of, like, people wouldn't say things to me directly, but there were more like the second and third circle friendships, especially with women, where we would be in like a friend group together from different like programs I've done or school or whatever, and they just sort of fell away.
Yeah.
And I think some of that was jealousy and seeing someone go after something when a lot of people play it safe. And I've actually been pretty disappointed and surprised at how safe the career paths have been for people I went to school with, especially high school and college, where I went to exceptional schools and people have done remarkably unexceptional jobs from there. And I'm so over the quote, even though I do love the quote from Teddy Roosevelt, but like, man in the arena. But there's a reason why people quote it, because they're the people who are in the arena doing it and and you're willing to get knocked down. And I'm willing to get punched in the face and have my teeth knocked out and knocked down and get back up over and over again on the internet. And even though I do have makeup on now, I generally do my videos I have very light makeup on now, and I generally have like no makeup on because I want people to see that authenticity, and it's worked. So my message for people in general is authenticity is gonna win, especially with AI. Which is a little nod to your husband.
Oh yeah. Well, you were just talking about how, people, I guess their attitude changed towards you when, you started blowing up, you're being very vocal about your opinions. But do you remember who was the first person who started treating you differently? Like from your past life, it could have been an ex-boyfriend, it could have been siblings, parents, cousins, family. Is there anybody who had like a drastic change of attitude?
I can't think of that. There were definitely people there are a lot of changes in my life in general now. Okay. Life is very different because the bigger you get, especially doing stand-up, I think people recognize you a lot more. They remember you more. So having 1 million followers from doing like a Netflix series, people won't remember you or they don't connect with you in the same way that you do with someone who makes you laugh. So, and there aren't that many stand-up comedians. There's a really healthy environment right now of comedy in general, which is fun for me. But there aren't so many of us. But no, I have to say that my friends are just like, they're the ones that, I don't want to say keep me humble because they're so supportive of me. And I have one liberal friend who will call me and she'll say, love how viral you're going. Hate what you're saying. Like, I just hate it. So they're really supportive, but like, they're just normal. Feel like life is normal and you need that. I don't want to be surrounded by people who are acting like I'm such a different person because I'm exactly who I was before. Now my job and my life is just more public.
Why stand up?
It's a good question. No one's actually asked me why I started doing stand up. And I have fallen into what is clearly my calling. So it's been a huge blessing. And I really think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on a more religious program, but I really think God put me on the path I should be on. And I spent the better part of a year of like 2025 not growing on social media. I grew, but I went from like 220K at the beginning of the year to 350K, which to me was not, I wasn't satisfied with that growth. And I would always get comments from people saying, why are you not at 1 million followers? Like you go so viral and your content's so good. And I always felt like the quality of my content and what I was doing, I hate to say content, the quality of my jokes was beyond the numbers on social media. And I came to terms with it and I thought, okay, this is like, I'll get there eventually. But I think Hashem looked at me and he's like, I know you just got a video with like 20 million. Not that I think Hashem is like, although I do think, I'd like to believe I've made God laugh a couple times, you know?
Of course you have.
I think God has a very funny sense of humor and I've definitely made him laugh. Not to brag or anything, but it's definitely true. Good thing pride is something Christians focus on more than Jews. but I think, I'd go viral and I just wouldn't get followers from it. And it's because I needed to try something new. So there was a frustration from that. And I had the growing frustration of people stealing my content all the time on the right. So I'd have a video, it'd go viral, and people would take the joke down to the photos I was using, to the punchline. It was so aggravating. And I thought, I just need to create a moat. I need to create something where like, what can no one else do that I could do? That's be quick on my feet, I'm gonna get on stage. And then the final part of why I did it was there are certain jokes that I wanted to make that I felt like if I did just talking to the camera would be seen as like too aggressive or too racist or too people would just look at it and think, oh, this is like a right-wing MAGA girl making this joke. Whereas when you say it from a stand-up stage and from a comedy stage, it's just, you're just a comedian telling the truth. And it might be edgy, but it's like, all right, it's true. And so that's why I did it. And I did my very first set ever.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Where was your first set? How was the reaction of the audience? What was that like for you?
Yeah. So having never done a single improv class, never written, like
Where was it?
It was at the Stand in New York City.
Okay.
And which is a ridiculous place to have my first set ever.
Yeah.
That's not normal. Most people do like terrible open mics, trying to get you have to bring like 5 friends to get 3 minutes on a stage where no one's sitting and like you're like performing to an empty room.
Yeah.
I got up to a full room at the Stand, and I gave myself the deadline of Rosh Hashanah of last year. And so on September 15th, 2025, I did my first set. And I got on that stage and I got off it and I thought, that was really fun. And I feel like I was like pretty good. Maybe I should do this again. And I basically created it was a psyop what I did. I just started posting photos of myself doing stand-up in like empty rooms in Miami where you'd have no idea that I'm in this like terrible bar. It's like I'm like fighting for attention while like some game is on a TV.
Yeah.
But I post a photo and then I have all these people who follow me, like big people, especially on the right, but a growing audience of people who are there for comedy. But I've just a sidebar, I always had people following me who didn't follow right-wing people, but they followed comedians.
Right.
And I saw that trend. And I did have everyone in my life saying to me also for the year before, like, why are you not doing stand-up? You're so funny. And I thought last time I didn't listen, it took me 10 years to then do it. And it was the thing I should do. So let me not wait 10 years again for that. So I just started posting and people would message me, like very famous people who had been following me, like, I didn't know you do stand-up. And I said, yes, I do. And I had done maybe a few sets at that point, and I got a message from a club in New York asking me if I wanted to open for Michael Rappaport. And I was like, yes, why not? Yes, of course. And I just like flew up and opened for Michael Rappaport, and it just kept going from there. So people, and a lot of people have come up to me in comedy, like in the Green Room at the Mothership, which is Joe Rogan's comedy club in Austin. Some very famous comedians said to me, so how long have you been doing this? Like 3 to 5 years? And I was like 3 to 5 months, you know what I mean? It's just been, like, I really believe this is what I was put on this earth to do.
This is definitely your calling.
Thank you.
It really is.
And you guys were at one of those like tiny shows.
We were at the aficionado.
Yeah.
You weren't
there. You weren't there when I got this viral clip. You were there at I think a week or two later, maybe.
Maybe.
But you guys were there, and I remember seeing someone recording out of the corner of my eye, and I was like,
that Zoli?
Yeah, it was Zoli.
Of course it was him.
But I couldn't.
He's like, I'm going to make her a clip.
This is something that people don't realize. You guys should know. When we're on stage, even at a small place like that where you don't even have a stage, you could barely see people because of the way the lights are.
Yeah.
So you really can't.
So you don't even know if people are looking at you, looking at their phones.
Right. And so it's tricky actually, because one of the things you have to do is you have to learn how to feel the room and understand the audience by just feeling it and listening to like the breathing and the laughter and you have to hear all of that and you're analyzing a lot of things to figure out where to go off of that, but you usually can only see like the first row or two of people.
That's tough.
Because
you gotta keep rolling the jokes. You gotta see how the audience is responding.
Oh yeah.
And have you ever had a time where you started telling jokes and you're like, this feels like it's going off course, or I have to get their attention back? Do you have like a method to like kind of reel people back in if they start feeling, or if you start sensing like, I'm not getting the reaction I really wanted?
Yeah, I don't think I have trouble commanding attention on stage, to be honest.
You're like, look at my legs, ladies and gentlemen.
People love it. I didn't realize the angle. I'm sorry. There's like there's an Arynne Wexler leg fetish on the internet right now.
Is there a page of your legs?
Apparently actively feeding. There's a wiki feet for me, and I discovered it recently. I discovered this recently because to my chagrin, a friend of mine sent me the profile. And there were like one or two ratings, and I had a really low rating, and I was really upset about it. And I made my friend who sent me the profile make a profile to give me 5 stars to like up the average of my feet rating. So the internet is a funny little place, but
Wiki feet?
Yeah, wiki feet.
Interesting.
It's like celebrity feet. And I have that where I got derailed. Oh, attention on stage.
Yes.
No, the worst thing on stage is just no reaction at all. Because a bad reaction you can deal with. And now that I'm getting more reps, I'm getting better at anticipating where I might not get the reaction I want. Like I don't know what I'm allowed to say on this.
You can say whatever you
anything.
want.
You can bleep it out. But like I have a rape joke.
Okay.
And that's obviously a very risky joke.
Right.
And it's not how it sounds, but like it involves that word.
Got it.
And like alluding to that, not in a way that anyone would really
guys,
be
calm
upset
down.
about. Yeah, calm down. But it's a joke where every time I say it to people individually, people always laugh. If I said it right now, you would laugh. And there's something that changes between saying it to a person one-on-one and saying it on a stage. And even though I perform to largely right-wing audiences, people, first of all, with rape, it's like understandable why people wouldn't laugh. But to many jokes, people just feel differently about what they feel they can laugh at in a crowd in front of other people. And every city is different. Every crowd is different. Like even within a city, I'll do 2 shows in a night and it's night and day between them. It just becomes like the whole crowd, even though they're all strangers, they become this one unified unit that's reacting together. And so with that joke, I knew that it would likely be a problem. And so I had a backup of what to say. And it actually I have something that it pierces the tension of the joke. So that way it gives them permission to laugh at a joke I have after about Harvey Weinstein.
Okay.
But I think without the awkwardness of that joke before, they actually might not laugh as hard at the Weinstein joke. So there's a lot there.
There's a method to the madness.
Yes, and it's just like reading, because I do not crowd work, but people interact with me a lot. They interject more than I think other comedians. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't feel like I have a particularly inviting face.
Maybe someone. They just want your attention.
Yeah, people, because it could be positive. It's not always negative. But you have to go with the flow and be able to veer from, like, obviously certain things are pre-written, but a lot ends up not being.
Yeah. So how does performing on stage, how is that different than, let's say, you filming a reel just like on a whim? Like, are you more relaxed in one setting, or are you pretty like even and like level-headed in each situation? How do you?
I get what you're asking.
Is there like a big difference to you, or you're like just comfortable now in like any setting?
It's a huge difference. I'm getting more comfortable on stage. The best I am on stage is when I forget that I'm on stage. So the most viral clip I've had, not in terms of views even, just in terms of the reaction, the way people know me from it, was I had a liberal heckler in the audience, and I forgot about like everything and was just focused on diffusing the tension in the room and addressing her and making sure everyone is still having fun. And I think that's why people loved the clip so much. Also because I wasn't trying to embarrass her. I was just trying to have a conversation with her when she, of course, would not.
Is this clip on Instagram?
It is. It's pinned on my profile.
Yes.
So I'm at this like random bar, performing. I was just running through jokes I was trying out about the Winter Olympics on a notepad, and then this woman started booing me. But back to how the difference between them. What's funny is it's inconsequential if you make a mistake when you're recording a video, because you can just redo it a million times until you get it right. But I so prefer being on stage. Part of it, I think, is like maybe I'm a slight adrenaline junkie and that like the stakes of it are so much higher that it's enjoyable. But I think what I like more than that is just it's so pure. It's just so authentic. And I love the audience interactions because they break me out of what I've thought about before, and I get to be with them. And it reminds me a lot of when I was trading at Goldman. I did work in tech between Goldman and doing this for quite a while. I just did analyst years on the trading floor. But when I was on the trading floor, I was on a trading desk, and you could see just how right and how wrong you were every second of every day, down to the penny, right? You would have a tracker. And not only did you have a tracker, everyone on your team, on the global team, we all had like 8 screens. And one of the screens would be partly dedicated to just the P&L of every person in your team. So if I was doing badly that day, my competitor in London would see that. And it taught me being at Goldman taught me how to deal with that, like the emotional like equilibrium of staying steady and not letting anything and like the swings be too high or too low, and seeing bullets in slow motion. And so when I have a heckler, when I'm on stage and things aren't going my way, I think about Lloyd Blankfein, the former CEO of Goldman, like standing over me during a massive market event as I'm like doing all this stuff and everyone's watching and seeing the P&L, and that's what it feels like on stage. But as tense as that is, it also feels like Shabbat. because I don't bring my phone on stage. And a lot of people do. I don't. I handwrite notes if I want anything to look at, especially when I try a lot of new stuff all the time. So I'll keep a little piece of paper, but I have no idea what, you don't even know what time it is when you're on stage.
Yeah.
Most of these places, they don't even have a clock for you. Sometimes they have like a timer, and it's like a kitchen timer. So I'll get up and it'll say like some number that makes no sense. Like I got up at 9 p.m. and the number says like, 17:23, and you're like, okay. And I'm like, oh, I forgot to check what time this started at. And so now it's like 17:50, and I'm like, but when did I start? So you're like, time becomes irrelevant, and the purpose is just being in that room with everyone. And I really love it.
So you touched upon your old job at Goldman Sachs, which leads into my next question for you. So before you getting on social, just kind of voicing your opinion, leaving your old job, you used to have an HR department. What's the first like off-color thing you said or did that might have gotten you into trouble or made the HR department be like, Arynne, can we see you for 5 minutes?
I know exactly what it was. I've always been a rabble-rouser. I was an open Republican in middle school and high school. In New York City at a fancy prep school. They put me on a diversity panel, actually, because it was so unusual to be Republican. So I kind of figured out before cancel culture came about and everyone learned the lessons from it, I realized the way to be uncancelable, but we didn't even have that word back then. Right. The way to not get in trouble was to just, like, there's no gotcha moment. I'm just openly right-wing, and I have to know 3 times more than you do, and I have to be so thorough, and I have to go toe-to-toe with my PhD professor from Harvard teaching me in middle school, and I have to know just as much as they do to stand my ground. But when it comes to HR, when I was at Goldman, it wasn't a problem because it's the trading floor. So everyone was saying all kinds of crazy stuff. They just said to me, there was an MD, like a high up person on the sales desk or equivalent, and my VP pulled me aside and he said, Wex, we all know Doug's retarded, but you show it on your face every time he asks you a question. You just can't do that. So that was, and actually, you know what? I think in one of my feedback reports, like my first one at Goldman, they were like, we know it's like an Israeli thing to be very blunt. And I was like, because there were no Jews in my department, like in that area. It's fine. Like most Jews are in equities and not fixed income. And I was in foreign exchange trading and fixed income. And so he's like, so I'm like, I didn't correct him because I'm like, let's just let him think that I'm Israeli. But he said, we all know Israelis are blunt, but like, you can't just say everything, And then when I was in tech, I was at multiple companies and some of them were great and like knew who I was, but I was in one that was super woke.
Oh God.
And it was an Israeli-American company.
Really?
And I worked at multiple two Israeli-American companies, but it was a different, like not, like Zoli knows exactly which company I'm going to be talking about, but I'm not going to name them on this because that'd be Lashon. But they wanted us to put pronouns in our bios, and I was like, I'm not doing that. And then they had a bunch of Slack channels, and they made an Indigenous peoples channel, and it was all like Black people in it. And I was like, well, first of all, Black people are not indigenous to America. They were actually brought here on slave ships. So like, I don't really get the point. And I joined the chat because I'm indigenous to the land of Israel, because I'm a Jew. I was like, is this not a chat for indigenous peoples? And I would actively participate in this chat. And I'm like, what are they gonna say? Well, and like I would do things like that. And I understand when I'm doing something like that. Like I know that I'm like making a point and I'm doing it to make that point, but the point is valid, right?
Yeah. No, it's funny. It's like you really found your way even through corporate to just like be yourself. Yeah. And you know what? Nothing bad happened from it. Because now you're here.
Yes. Yeah. Like I never got like in real trouble over it.
Right.
But because I've always known how to walk that very fine line.
What's the worst thing anyone has said to you online that was actually funny and made you laugh?
I don't know about the worst. The truth is, I really don't care about negative comments. The thing that really got to me though was last summer, about a year ago, just seeing the clear surge of bots writing anti-Semitic comments, just total Jew hate slop, because that felt existential. Like the comments about me, don't bother me, and I sleep at night. but I don't sleep well when I see that happening. So that really bothered me. But I see funny comments. I saw there was a comment on YouTube, because I'll check comments to see like how people are reacting to things. And I thought this was so funny. Someone said like they were complimenting how I looked. And all these comments were like, yes, like hottest comedian, whatever. And then like beautiful. And then the very last comment was, yeah, if you like horses. And it's like, it was so funny. And like Nick Fuentes said I have a horse face. I just have a narrow face.
We'll get to him soon.
No, it's so funny. I actually have a joke about this. I've been saying this since I was like 8 years old, that I'm an IVF baby. I'm a test tube baby. And I think that my face is so narrow because the tube just squeezed me out. So like, so they're making this joke. I'm like, I make this joke about myself. And by the way, I just didn't do this to be called pretty. I didn't do this for that kind of attention.
Yeah.
I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with my life. So when people say that, I'm like, okay. But I laughed out loud when I saw the comment. Yeah, if you like horse.
Oh my God. People are ruthless. But when it comes to in-person interactions, has anybody given you slack to your face? Like, what you're doing is like so wrong and you need to reconsider like your life choices. Like, do you ever get those types of reactions from people? No. So
Never.
people are like too pussy to come up to you.
Yeah, they're all positive. And you'd also be surprised the types of people who come up to me. I had a doorman in New York who was Black. He's a vet. He's coming out. He's like, I'm a veteran. Thank you so much. It's like, he literally pulled me aside. I was like on Fifth Avenue walking my dog and he like chased after me. I have Hispanic women. The funniest was like, I definitely unlocked a new level of racism if you're getting the Chinese taxi driver. You know what I mean? Like Asian racism is so and like so if an Asian man, like an elderly man, like with his hands behind his back like that, if he likes my comedy, that's one like strong accent. He's like, oh, I see you on the YouTube. And I was like, okay, wonderful. So it's a very diverse group of people. I was on a flight recently and I had a Black Rastafarian guy in the row behind me who watches all my stuff, like listens to every episode I'm on. You would just be shocked, but the left would want you to think that it's just like, neo-Nazis listening to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do have a very colorful audience.
Yes.
We're going to get into some political/Jewish talk right now.
Okay.
Why do you think there are so many Jewish liberal voters?
I need to come up with a better answer for this because everyone asks me this. Like I'm supposed to solve this problem of like mentally retarded Jews or something.
Solve it, Arynne.
I know. I mean, I've said this. I said this on Sage Steele's podcast, and I'm going to repeat myself because I feel exactly the same way about it as I did when I said it then. Which is, first, we are the dumbest smart people on earth. Mm-hmm. I think also the bigger problem than that, and the fact that I think there's like an over-intellectualization of things where I say like the problem with the far left is they've read too many books. The problem with the far right is they've read none. But we do love books in Judaism, so I do think it can draw us into that like leftist like philosophy, even though as you and I both know, religious Jews are not left-wing and they're overwhelmingly right-wing, which brings me to my second point. I think the strongest reason why Jews are left-wing is because if you have a Christian who doesn't believe in Jesus and they don't go to church, may or may not believe in God, but they're not a Christian. They're an atheist. And if you're born a Jew and you don't go to synagogue and you don't care about the Torah, you don't keep mitzvot, there's nothing about you that's Jewish except for your last name. I say Gino. You're Jewish in name only, right? It sounds horrible. It's meant to sound horrible, by the way. But if you're a giant, you know what? You're still a Jew, right? And so especially the neo-Nazis love to point to that. Like they blame Jews for all this all the left-wing policies like open borders and whatever. And like they're not Jewish. Their last name just ends in Berg or Stein. And so you're saying they're Jewish, but they're not. Like you and I would never see them in synagogue. They would never come to Chabad. They would never, like they're anti-Zionist. They hate Israel. And still the haters think that they're Jewish.
Like a self-hating Jew, basically.
Yeah. But that's crazy because there's no phrase for a self-hating Christian because you just aren't Christian anymore. But that's because we're an ethno-religion, and so we have to deal with the consequences of that.
You brought up Nick Fuentes
Yes.
earlier in conversation. He's having a little bit of like a turnaround right now on social.
I don't trust it.
I wanted to know your take on
I
that.
saw a screenshot of I think it was a Discord chat of him saying, "Oh, I'm doing this to like gain credibility." Who knows? I think Nick is a very smart guy. I think in another life, Nick, just if he had been in the fold and if he didn't feel excluded, I think he would love being Jewish. I actually think Jewish boobs could solve the problem. I think Nick just needs a Jewish hottie and he'll be happy. He needs to, well, I don't know if it's boobs for Nick, but I think
needs
that
something.
he needs something Jewish.
Okay.
And I think that's where a lot of the Jew hate comes from. I have theories about all the different sources of it, but one of it is just seeing something that you wish you had. The strong community, the strong tradition, the pride, the cohesion, and they want that desperately, and because they don't feel like they could ever be a part of it, they just decide to hate it.
So people like Nick Fuentes and a lot of other people on social media who express very openly Jew hate. Mm-hmm. How much of it do you think is actually real? How much do you think of it is just so they can grow a following or be trusted by other people who maybe have those views also? Mm-hmm. Or do you think it's just like all for show? Do you think like it is actually authentic, or do you think it's just to be relatable, to get the likes?
I was saying this the other day to someone. I miss the days when people hated Jews because they really hated the Jews. It was so simple. Because now people hate the Jews to get clicks on Instagram. What are you talking about? Like, that's ridiculous, right? So I just miss like classic, good old-fashioned Jew hatred, But no, I think the biggest source of Jew hate in America today is there is a serious cultural malaise in society. And we've watched it creep into the right. So it started on the left, and you had woke on the left, which was, patriarchy and racism and the system's broken and everything's out against certain people, right?
Yeah.
And on the right, it's become like the hard swing back. So it hasn't been moderate. It's just this hard swing the other way, which is that like white men are the most oppressed, which is a ridiculous thing to say, ridiculous.
Yeah.
And which isn't to say that being a man or a white man in like history has been easy. It certainly has not been. But to say that like that's who's been the most oppressed is laughable. And they've replaced patriarchy and racism with global elites and Jews. So it's that the right used to be the party of winners. We used to I think that's also why people hate Israel in a lot of ways, because Israel decided they weren't going to be a sucker, they weren't going to be a victim, they were going to be a regional superpower. And there's this creep that's come over the right that Tucker really pushed. If you look at his speech at SAS at the Turning Point event in the summer of I think it was like July of 2025, he got up there and what he said sounded indistinguishable from a leftist. It was, nothing's your fault. Everything's out to get you. And that came after a long wave of a big campaign of people undercutting Jordan Peterson and his principles of, get out of your mom's basement, iron your shirt, go to work, have pride in what you do, have kids even before you think you're ready, get married first, find a nice woman, find a nice girl, treat her well, get married, have kids. And instead, the right, they just sound like pro-gun leftists, right? You're a loser, and that's not to downplay how difficult things are for people right now. I do think there are serious structural issues that make things really expensive, really difficult, but still, the idea that like nothing is your fault and you should blame someone else,
right?
And so if I were to try to solve Jew hate in America, I wouldn't talk about Jews. And I wouldn't talk about Israel. And I think I've said this to Ben Shapiro, and he agreed with me. Also, it's not like to say that I was like going against him. But Ben's famous phrase is facts don't care about your feelings. We are living in a time where feelings do not care about the facts. Stop trying to go up to someone and tell them why Jews don't believe in some crazy thing that Candace Owens is making up. Right? Like she's
my next question.
The most illiterate person in the world that like somehow knows the whole Talmud that most Jews don't even read. But that doesn't work, and that's a big reason why I like comedy, because like storytelling, feelings, You know, like that's what wins people over. Like most people, I don't think anyone voted. Like I've said this to people on the right, because the right likes approaching people with numbers and facts.
Yes.
And they're like, well, this many people crossed the border. No one voted for Donald Trump in 2024 because they saw numbers and they thought, oh, wow, there are way more border crossings than I realized. No, they voted for him because they felt things getting more expensive. They saw the homeless and the crime and the illegals in their city on their sidewalks in front of their front doors. And they had their kid coming home from school saying that there's a kid that identifies as a furry in my class and they're shitting in a litter box in the bathroom. And so they went and voted for Donald Trump.
Right.
It's all feeling. Yes. So I think we need to move away from, like, I hate the way Jews spend money on useless campaigns, on useless just like conferences to just talk. I reject, people invite me all the time to go to conferences or to come to these events of, you know, we're all gonna sit and talk about how to solve this. Pass, hard pass, right? The way to solve it is not talking about Jews, it's how do we make, especially young men in America, how do we make them feel happy again? How do we give them prospects? How do we just get them out of their mom's basements, right? And I'm not, because of the program we're on, and even if I weren't here, I would never encourage premarital sex. But in general, you look at Gen Z and these younger generations, they're not having sex, they're not being social, they're not going on dates, they're not getting married. And like society was better when people were like drinking. No one drinks anymore.
I know.
And so everyone's antisocial, just like scrolling on their phones. And by the way, I even see it in comedy. I could see people like laughing and moving their shoulders, but they're not making the sound out loud, because when you're home alone, you're not often laughing out loud. I laugh out loud because I like try to keep my life like normal, you know? But I could see it in the way people are. I talk to comedians about this all the time in the green room, that you see behavior changing in real life because everyone's so isolated at home. So that is how I would solve anti-Semitism.
Do you think Candace Owens is just rage baiting at this point?
I have no idea. I never try to play a game, honestly, of trying to get in people's heads. I don't know her well enough. And all I know is that she's a truly hateful, evil person. And especially what she has done in Charlie's memory and to Erica, she will pay for that. And that's for God to deal with. That's all I have to say.
Let's play some rapid fire.
Okay.
You can explain only after you answer, if you want to explain your answer.
Okay.
New York or Miami?
Miami.
Hecklers or the comment section?
Hecklers.
Most underrated Jewish holiday?
I love so many. It's a really tough question. I mean, my favorite holiday is Yom Kippur.
Care to explain?
I love the responsibility that Judaism puts on us, and that we have to take action. And I spend serious time between Rosh Hashanah and like leading up to Rosh Hashanah, thinking about how I could have been better, who I wasn't good to, you know, apologizing to people. I just like, I've always, since I was a kid, I love like when we beat our chests and like everything about it is just so pure. And I think the melodies are beautiful and like dressed in white. It's funny though, because in New York, I didn't realize people dress in white until I lived in Tel Aviv for a couple of years, because in New York, everyone's dressed like to the nines in like fur coats and like jewelry. And I'm like, it is Yom Kippur, you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, everything about it I just find really cleansing and intentional.
Shabbat dinner or a Friday night set? Tough one.
If I could choose, I would choose Shabbat dinner.
Well, you could do a Friday night set at a Shabbat dinner.
It's tough. My relationship with keeping Shabbat has ebbed and flowed, and right now, I want to get back to Shabbat, but
Well, you can always come over.
appreciate it.
I'm actually making Shabbat this week, so
Oh,
more than welcome to join.
thank you.
Did you actually study Arabic?
Yes.
Say something in Arabic.
I'll tell you the first sentence they ever teach you, because it tells you a lot about the language, right? Think about what you learned. If you took French or Spanish in school, what do they teach you basic stuff, right? Like normal things. the first sentence you will ever learn in the classic textbook that is used called Al-Kitab. It's used in every classroom across this country. It is "Ami mutarjama fi al-Ummam al-Mutahida wa hiya mutakhasisa fi al-lughat al-Arabiyya wal-Almaniyya wal-Injliziyya." What I just said is, my mother is a translator at the United Nations. What the? My mother is a translator at the United Nations, specializing in the languages of, what did I say, like German, English, French, whatever I said. Yeah, like, it's like
Do you ever
crazy.
freak people out if you just start speaking Arabic? Have you ever spoken to somebody in Arabic and they were just like so caught off guard?
Yeah, well, I've forgotten a lot because it's like easy to forget if you don't practice. And they teach you so poorly in this country. It's a shame. I used to be much more fluent. And when I had a goal of becoming more fluent in Hebrew, and it kind of knocked some of the Arabic out. But I could pick it back. You know, it wouldn't be difficult because I got through the hardest part of learning everything. But my favorite thing would be in New York City in the back of a taxi, because like I'd see the guy's name and I'd be like, "Ya Mohammed, min wain ant?" Which means, "Mohammed, where are you from?" And a lot of times I'd go, "Lay," which means like, why? Like, why are you asking?
You're like, the Mossad is in my car.
Yeah. And I'd be like, "What do you think about Israel? Good or bad?" You know, this determines the tip. No.
That would probably scare the crap out of people.
People are just surprised. No, like there's a lot of delight from it. Like I had like one of my bodega guys in one of my neighborhoods back in the day, and he spoke Arabic, and we just always would have like a nice little chat, and it was like very pleasant, you know?
It's actually kind of useful now in Europe if you ever go.
Yeah, yeah, it's very useful in Paris.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when we were there, what was it, last summer? Yeah, last summer I walked into a store, and I guess they assumed I was Arabic. Maybe.
I could see it.
Salam
I could go
alaikum.
there.
Alaikum
I
salam.
could see it. I could
Shukran.
see it. Yeah. No, but I'd say.
And then I'm like pulling out my American passport to get the VAT back, and then they're like, "Your name is Chava."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like, this doesn't help me beat the Mossad allegations. I feel my entire life people are like, "Are you Mossad?" And I'm like,
I could
no.
totally see that though.
Yeah, everyone says that. I'm not Mossad. But this doesn't help me like it rejects those like the allegations when I'm like speaking Arabic. But it was funny because I posted a clip of myself on YouTube, and I saw some of the comments said like, "Wow, she gave herself away." I'm like, if I were a spy, I would not. I would pretend to not know Arabic, and I
Right.
wouldn't also then go through the process of editing and posting my clip.
Correct. Yeah.
But people are, thankfully, our enemies are endlessly retarded. And that is something that really works in our favor.
It does. Mm-hmm. Would you date a liberal?
No.
One word for Nick Fuentes. You could say it.
Gay.
Getting canceled or getting ignored?
I think canceling people is one of the worst things that society has created. It's like you get kicked off of platforms. Like people are really nefarious in how they cancel you. So being ignored, I don't give a shit. I like being by myself. Ignore me. Please ignore me so I could have some peace and quiet.
If Netflix offers you a special, but
They never will. They never will.
Hulu?
They won't. I'll
If
just put it on
somebody
YouTube.
offers you a special, but they can
I'm gonna
cut
make my
it
own
if they
special.
find the material offensive, would you still do it?
No,
So you're like, nah.
absolutely not. I'm gonna make my own special. I'll put it on YouTube. It'll happen in the next like year. I'll just do it
should.
myself.
Who's the funniest Jew alive?
My brother.
Something you believe in that your own audience would hate.
It's a good question. Something I believe in. I mean, in general, I just don't like the way the right dunks on the left because I think the world works in harmony and in balance. And so you need like masculine and feminine and right and left. Like I don't want a world of people of all right-wing people, and I don't want a world of obviously all left-wing people.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to find a better way to appreciate that balance.
Would you ever run for office?
No.
Okay. We're going to start wrapping up, but I just wanted to give you a little scenario and pick your brain.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a girl out there watching this and she has a few thousand followers and she feels like she's about to quit, what would you tell her? And don't be nice about it.
You didn't have to say the last part. Okay, I'd say a few things. The first is, why are you doing it? Is it for the right reasons? Is this really a path you should go down? If you're doing this for attention, this is a great way to continue to hate yourself. And you should only do this if that's not what you're going for, because you'll never be satisfied. And then like those are the people that, you know, I know plenty of influencers, and they're the ones that get really sensitive about comments, and like it keeps them up at night, and like they get stomach ulcers over it. So I'd say don't do it if you're doing it for attention. If you feel like you have something positive to offer this world that will bring light to someone's day, whether it's cooking or it could be makeup, it could be hair, like fine, but why are you doing it? But I would say the part you're in is where people give up. And it's like very Alex Hormozy of me, but you know, don't like this is, you just have to be so ruthless that it would be impossible for you to not succeed. And the reason I've grown from 350K to over 1 million in 6 months is because I am the hardest working person you will ever meet. And I get on stage and it's like ballet. When I'm on stage, it looks so effortless, and there are moments that are truly, lots of moments that are authentic, but it's meant to look easy when there's a ton of work behind it with ton of training and just like early mornings and late nights. And if you can't stomach that, well, then this isn't for you.
So now you're on tour.
Yes.
How can people see you? Where can they find tickets? Like, is there a website? We're going to link it all below.
Yes, well, shout out to Zoli. It will wrap it up in the way we started. It was just shout out to your wonderful husband who made my website for me.
Aw.
So nice. I know, because I had a jank website and he saw I had a story where I had a Google form to get people's cities to be able to email them when I had tickets. And he wrote to me and he said, no. He was so horrified that I was using a Google form. And an hour later, he just sends me my new website with the email sign up. And like, but he also taught a man to fish. So it's an AI one where I could just like, he's like, talk to it like it's me. And so I talk to it and it just updates. So you could just go to ArynnWexler.com, courtesy of Zoli, and I will email you there. Also, every tour I have, every date that's confirmed is on the website itself. So you could see it right there, but otherwise I'll email you when tickets come out.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Arynne, for coming on Call Her Tatty. And guys, I will see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for